I think I've lost my goddamn mind. Everything was fine until I walked out of work this afternoon. Dan, my cube mate, and I were walking out of the building, talking about our plans for the weekend. We had been pulling overtime. One of our clients was being more needy than usual, and we had agreed that lots of drinking was the only sensible plan for this weekend. As I stepped outside, though, I had to double check if I was drunk already. There was a huge person in the sky. At least it looks like a person. The general shape of it was humanoid, but it towered over the horizon, almost like it was actually out in space, just floating over the world. I stopped dead in my tracks. Dan looked back at me when he realized I wasn't beside him anymore, and he saw me staring up into the sky with a look of pure horror. "You alright?" he asked, looking concerned. You see that, don't you?" I stammered out, still not believing what I was seeing. "See what, man?" "There's a few clouds, but it doesn't look like any rain's coming this way." "No, the person. There's a huge person up there on the horizon. You seriously can't see it?" I couldn't fathom how he couldn't see it. It was almost blocking out the sun, and it had a big toothy grin on its face, just surveying the world. "You been sleeping okay? I think all this overtime's stretching you thin." Dan looked worried. I know I sounded insane. Yeah, probably just staring at that monitor all day. Got my mind going crazy. I dropped the subject and kept going. As I got in my car, I looked back to where this thing was. It was still there, now staring off upwards into whatever sky was above it. "I'll see you Monday. I'm just gonna go get some sleep." I shut out my window as I started the engine. The thing hovered there as I went through rush hour traffic to get back home. All this stop and go really gave me time to get a really good look at it. It looked more and more uncanny as time went on. Instead of 2 eyes, it had multiple. The entire top of its face was covered in eyes. Some small, some huge. There was no nose, just what looked like a slit running down half of its face until it came to the mouth. The mouth was the terrifying part. It was wide open, almost slack-jawed, and full of teeth. I don't mean like a big toothy smile, like some kid who had just gotten their first adult teeth and wanted to show them off. This thing had rows of teeth. It looked like a shark almost, with row after row of sharp, pointed teeth. They went around its entire mouth. Not just top and bottom. It had teeth on like all sides. Like a fucking garbage disposal for small planets. The damn thing was so huge I could only see it from the chest up. The rest had disappeared over the horizon. I'd finally gotten home and night had fallen at this point, but the giant hadn't shifted at all. By this time, to be honest, I was creeped the hell out. I decided that I was just going to go inside, close my curtains, and go the fuck to sleep. Because I'm just tired, right? This is all gonna be gone in the morning. Take one of my sleeping pills, and I'm out in half an hour. The only thing I can remember about my dream that night is that the thing in the sky was picking people up and dropping them into its mouth. They were so far away, but I could still hear their screams as they were slashed into bits on the teeth. I woke up the next morning and I opened my window, bracing myself to see the creature towering above the city outside. But to my relief, it wasn't there. And I can't tell you how relieved I was. The last thing I need is a psychotic break to put me out of commission. It was a Saturday, and my first day off in almost 2 weeks. I made some breakfast and decided to go out and browse around the library for something new to read. As I stepped out of my house and got in my car, I looked over above the house. The bedroom window faced my driveway, and I didn't think to look out any of my other windows before I stepped out of the house. And unfortunately, it was still there. It had just shifted to the other side of the earth. Or maybe the earth had just rotated to the point where it was in a different position. It just stood there. The same expression on its face as last night. I saw a plane fly by in the sky, barely brushing by the shoulder of the creature. It moved one of its many eyes to look at the plane, and a different eye focused on it as it continued to move past the creature. And with one swift move, it bent over and crunched down on the plane. There was a small plume of smoke and a flash of fire, and then it was gone. I couldn't believe my eyes. How many people were on that flight? How many people had just lost family members to that thing? I had to do something, so I called 911.
Operator, what is your emergency?
A woman's voice, polite yet urgent voice, came on the other line. An airplane! It just blew up in the sky. There's a giant creature up there. It looks almost like a person, but it just ate a fucking plane.
Sir, I'm going to need you to please calm down. Now, you say a plane exploded?
Yes! Well, okay, not really exploded, though. It was more, eaten. The thing in the sky leaned over and swallowed it whole.
Sir, this line is for emergencies only. You know that faking an emergency call is a crime, correct?
I'm not fucking faking! Those people on that plane are dead. Don't you care about that?
Sir, I'm going to disconnect the line. Please, only call us if there is a real emergency.
And then the line went dead. Fuck. What do I do? Dan couldn't see it yesterday, and the emergency operator obviously hadn't heard anything about it. I looked back up at the thing at the horizon. It had turned, and it was facing my direction now. As I stared at it, it looked down towards the ground. Every single eye on its face looked right at me. And look, I know how it sounds. That I could tell from that distance, but I know that it was looking at me. It could somehow sense that I realized this because the grin on its face got even wider. I don't know how long I sat there screaming. All I know is that the next thing I knew, there were two guys in suits outside my car window. One was knocking on the glass while the other had his gun drawn. "Please, step out of the car and come with us, sir," the man knocking on the glass said. The other one lowered his gun slightly and gave me a look as if to say that it was okay. "We don't want to use force, but we have been authorized to do so if you do not comply." "What in the fuck is going on?" I said as I opened my car door. "Who the hell are you? Can you see that fucking thing?" "No, sir, we cannot. However, we can take you to someone that has the answers for you. The things you're seeing are real." The one with the gun looked concerned, almost like he was sorry for me. The other guy just acted like he wanted to be done with it all. "Fine, as long as I know I'm not crazy." I walked over to their car with them. One opened the back door and motioned for me to get in. We drove for what seemed like hours. I know we were a good ways outside of the city by the time we pulled up to a small shack off the dirt road. I looked up at the horizon as I got out of the car. Over the tops of trees, I could barely see the top of the giant's head. One of the eyes on top was still looking right at me, though. "Follow us, please," said one of the men. "So you're gonna murder me now, right?" I quipped. I was losing my shit, but trying to retain a facade. "We're not in the business of murdering, sir. Quite the opposite, actually." As I walked into the small shack, I realized it really wasn't that small at all, actually. Passing through the door, there was a panel on the wall, and that was just an elevator. The agent stood in front of me as one of them lifted and hit the button. Slowly, we descended down into the depths. When the lift stopped and the door opened, there was a small room with a desk set up next to a wall. and a door leading out to the left. An older man was sitting behind the desk, reclining back in the chair that looked like it would tip at any second.
"Sir, we have the cognizant in question,"
one of the men said. The man in the chair almost fell back in surprise, and then sat forward and looked right at me.
"Yes, please come in. Have a seat. How are you doing today?"
he asked.
I've been better. Pretty sure none of this is real, though."
I looked around, trying to think of how the hell I could get out if I actually needed to. It felt good, though. Almost relieving that I couldn't see that thing looking at me anymore.
"Oh, I can assure you, this is very real. You are very much awake, and that creature in the sky is as real as you and I are."
The man smiled at me as if we were just talking about something as simple as the weather, and not a death god in the sky. "Oh, what? You mean I'm not crazy? You can see that thing too?" I asked in disbelief. I still couldn't fully grasp what was happening. If I wasn't crazy, what the hell was going on?
"Not crazy, I promise. I personally cannot see that creature. I do know that a few others can, though. I'm honestly surprised you've slipped under our radar for this long. We usually catch you guys much earlier in life."
You guys? The fuck does that mean? Can you please just stop being cryptid and tell me why the fuck I'm not crazy? I was getting tired of all this runaround. There's something really fucked up going on, and this guy is treating it like a fucking Sunday brunch.
"Well, I can explain everything to you, but first, I think you better have a seat. Would you like some coffee? It's quite a long story."
I sat down in front of him and listened as he laid everything out. I sat down across from the old man at the table, not knowing what to expect.
What had my life become in the last couple of days? Where are my manners? My name is Reynolds. Pleased to meet you.
The man extended his hand to me. I took it, hesitantly. He had a firm grip, and he shook my hand as if we were an old friend. "So, finally gonna tell me why my life's gotten so crazy in the last 24 hours? I asked him.
"Yes, that's going to be quite the story. So, you've seen our ocularly blessed friend outside, right?"
I thought you said you couldn't see him. How do you know what he looks like?"
"I told you, I have friends that can. One of them is quite the gifted artist."
At this, he pulled out a paper from the desk drawer. On it was a near-perfect sketch of the creature. Just the thought of it sent shivers down my spine.
"Now, as I've said, you're not the only one of your kind running around out there. About 1% of the Earth's population can see these things. We call them aberrations. They pop up every so often, and our job is to take care of them before they cause any major damage."
I hate to be the breaker of bad news, but this one already ate a fucking plane. How did you not stop that sooner? Now I was starting to feel a little angry. If they knew these things were coming, then how did they not take care of it sooner? It had been there almost an entire day before it took the plane out of the sky.
"Yes, well, that thing is going to weigh on us for a while. Thing is, we've never seen one this large. Usually the apparitions that appear are on a much smaller scale. Think your typical Hollywood monster movie. That's the scale we're used to dealing with. This thing, though, he's big. Bigger than what we're used to. We haven't quite come up with a plan to take him out yet."
Him? How do you know it's a him? And what do you mean there's more of them? My head was beginning to hurt. This was all just a little bit too much to take in.
"Oh, you can tell it's a him if you get close enough to where he's positioned."
Trust me. He chuckled. Was this all so normal that he could just joke about it? So, what do you mean, there's more? How have people not heard about these things by now?
Well, we're very good at our jobs. Usually, anyway. There's typically some collateral damage from the larger ones, but most are small and can be taken care of with little notice from the outside world. I guarantee you've heard of some of the larger ones. Chernobyl, the San Francisco earthquake. The LA riots were quite nasty. That one had a profound effect on the surrounding population.
So, why am I seeing this now? How come I haven't heard about this before? My head was really pounding now. Fucking hell. I'm 26 years old. I would have noticed these fucking monsters by now, you'd think.
It seems that this is just the first one. Both large enough and near enough to catch your attention. No other explanation I could really think of. Like I said, they're usually much smaller than what we're dealing with now.
But you said that you can take care of these things, right? Like, make sure that they don't cause too much damage? You can kill them? I didn't give a shit what he told me at this point. I just wanted to know that if we could get rid of this thing, that it would stop staring at me. I could still feel its gaze even though we were hundreds of feet underground.
Well, we can't necessarily kill them, but we can send them back to where they came from. You see, the apparitions are from Earth, just not our Earth. On occasion, the walls between our dimensions tear, so to speak. This allows things to slip through and cause havoc. Thing is, we've never known what to expect because there's so many different variables.
So you're telling me that giant fuck in the sky is from Dimension X or something? This was a lot to take in one day. And holy shit, did I need a nap.
The one outside is actually from Dimension 426-9. First one we've encountered from that dimension specifically. Seems like quite the nasty place, from what my colleagues told me.
One of the others? Like me? I asked. All this apparition stuff was interesting, but I want to know who else can see these things. Someone I can talk to that actually knows how fucking insane all this actually is.
Yes. We currently have 3 other cognizants working with us. You'll get to meet them soon enough, if you choose to join us.
Well, that depends, actually. What's the pay like? And, y'all got health insurance? I quipped back at him. I want answers, not some vague offers and sci-fi names.
I'm sure you're being sarcastic, but yes, we do offer healthy pay. Dental coverage, too, if that interests you. Anyway, time is somewhat of the essence here. You are a cognizant, someone who possesses the ability to see apparitions. With some honing to your ability, you can eventually see into other dimensions as well.
So I'm special, then?
Very. As I said, only about 1% of the population has this ability, and most of them go mad from a young age. It frequently gets misconstrued as a myriad of mental illnesses, and sometimes what they see is so horrible it just outright breaks them. There have been quite a few that put their abilities to good use for personal gain, though.
And you want to recruit me?
We would like your assistance, yes. If we have more cognizants on hand, we can find apparitions more quickly, and have you all in different locations, keeping an eye on things. We will do all the heavy lifting when it comes to getting rid of the ones that appear. We just need you to be our canary, so to speak.
That doesn't sound like too dangerous of a job. I still wasn't entirely convinced. Hell, I was expecting to wake up any second and have this all be a dream. But the cold air in the room, and the feeling of the apparition's gaze shooting through the ground at me, made it all feel too real. I must warn you, you will see some horrible things.
Creatures that look like us but can tear through you with the snap of their fingers. Lovecraftian nightmares. Creatures much uglier than our friend in the sky. And this will drain you.
His tone was much more serious now. We were reaching the end. Look, if I can get that giant asshole up there to go away, I'll do whatever I can. Besides, this might actually be a nice change of pace. Keep a lookout for any weird happenings and get paid for it. Honestly, sounds good to me.
Very well. Our agents will escort you back home. Here is a card with my number. Please, keep an eye on our friend out there, and study him. This is a tall order for your first case, but I can guarantee you'll learn quick from it. You'll also be subject to regular psych evaluations. We will contact you when we get everything processed.
So, what? I'm like a monster hunter now?
More of a monster surveyor, if you will.
I got up, and I followed the agents back to the elevator, and up to the surface. When we stepped out of the shack, the big guy was still there, watching me. All of his eyes followed as I walked over to the car, and they kept following us as they drove me back home. Things were about to get very interesting. I just didn't realize how much more awful the apparitions could be. Things got, well, awful, to be honest. On the bright side, the big guy is gone. I have no idea how they did it, but he was sent back to whatever hellhole he came from. Ronald tried to explain it to me, but it was really just a bunch of babble, quantum physics, and all that shit. But now, though, I'll take those big eyes in the sky any day over the things that I've seen and learned about in the past few days. I've met with other cognizants, and they've told me some of what I should be expecting out of this. They gave me some files about past apparitions and some of the ones that they've seen for themselves. Turns out, some pretty famous people were like this. Lovecraft, all that shit he wrote down, was apparently from personal experience. Turns out there really is another dimension beyond ours that's ruled by giant monsters called the Eldritch. Thankfully, none of those have passed through. He just looked into their dimension. As for some of the worst events in history, also apparitions. The San Francisco fire was caused by an apparition made of pure flame coming through the rift one night. Chernobyl was a creature that fed on radiation. And there's so much more. It's just a lot to take in. As far as my own personal experience goes, I've been learning to look into other worlds that are out there. Most actually aren't that bad. Worlds just like ours, but with slight differences. The others, though, well, they're far and few between, but they're made up of some of the most terrifying shit I've ever seen. Luckily for us, they stay where they're at for the most part. So things have been pretty quiet in our world. At least, until a week ago. Another thing that the administration provided me with is a satellite link, so I can view different areas of the world through satellite feeds, and get access to almost any camera. I was watching a feed from Florida when I saw that there was a hurricane forming off the coast. Looking further at one of the storms, I noticed that there was something off in the water. That seemed big. And that's putting it simply. Then, when lightning flashed in the middle of the storm, I could see it. It was gigantic. Not quite as big as Eyes was, but at least big enough to level a small city. It looked like it was in the center of the storm, too. I zoomed in, hoping that I could get a better look at it. It looked to be made out of pure darkness, with tendrils popping out in every direction. I saw a storm chaser plane flying close to it, and my stomach fell out. One of the tendrils snapped out like lightning, piercing straight through the plane, and it went down into the water. I picked up my phone and I dialed Ronald's number. Hey, we have a problem off the coast of Florida. Creature in the middle of a giant hurricane. Looks like a giant black hole, but it took down a storm chaser plane.
Alright, we're on it, he said. There's something you should know, though. The other 3 have been noticing much heavier activity in the past few days. There seems to be an increase in aberrations.
Great. Just what I fucking need, I said, sighing. Will you guys be able to take care of this thing? If it's in Florida, that's one state too close for me.
Admittedly, we are stretched rather thin at the moment, but it will be taken care of,
he said. And the line went dead. Guess there wasn't much time to talk. I decided to see what he meant by heavier activity. I pulled up the log where we all recorded our findings. There had been a lot more entries in the past 3 days than it had been in the past 2 weeks combined. This wasn't good. I scrolled through, seeing some of what we were dealing with. Victoria had apparently seen a massive ram with 8 horns storming through the hills of Scotland. Greg caught a guy in the middle of the Atlanta that was disintegrating anybody he touched. All small things, thankfully, nothing too big, at least until this hurricane. I decided to turn in for the night. There wasn't much else to do at the moment, and nothing could be done about the hurricane. I'm sure that they would have it taken care of by the morning anyway. Everything went smoothly the next day. The hurricane was gone, the tendrils disappeared. It seemed to be much slower. I actually managed to get a whole day without spotting anything. That night, I got woken up by my phone ringing. I saw that it was Ronald. I groggily answered it, still half asleep. Yeah, I asked.
Look outside. Tell me what you see.
Okay, let me put some pants on real quick.
No time! Go, now!
He pressed. Ah, shit, this must be bad. I walked downstairs and out my front door. It was bright. Way too bright for this early in the morning. Oh, what the hell? Ah, fuck, I said as I looked into the sky. This was bad. Way worse than the eyes, even.
What is it?
Ronald shouted through the phone.
Tell me, goddammit!
The whole sky is torn open. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I described everything to Ronald as I saw it. Up above me, there was a tear running across the entire sky. Through it, there were hands reaching down, clawing at the night. There were huge hands, each one at least the size of a car, with large claws and 7 fingers on each hand. As they clawed, the tear grew. Beyond the massive hands, light was pouring through. The light was almost pure red in color, like the sun was close up. Ronald, I said, I think hell just opened up above us.
Look, I need you to get your shit together. We're working on closing this one, but we're still recovering from the last few aberrations. We have a team on the way to assess the situation. Keep an open eye and make sure that nothing else happens.
Oh, you better hurry. They're tearing it even more as we speak. The hands multiplied more and more, reaching through the tear, growing wider. I finally saw one of the creatures that the hand belonged to, as it fought its way out of the masses. It looked... well, there's no good comparison to what it looked like. It was... big. At least the size of a small skyscraper. The limbs were long, spindly, but looked muscled. It had a long torso with a slim lower half, and it steadily got wider as it reached the top, to where I'm guessing its lungs were. The heads was the worst part. It had 4 heads, at least. At least, I think they were all heads anyway. One of them was just a giant mess of sharp teeth, black as space. One was a giant glowing red orb, and I realized with horror that this is where the light was coming from. All these glowing orbs on each of these creatures. The other 2 heads worked in unison, large tentacles branching off from each, almost like they were feeling the area out around them. I fell slowly to the ground when it finally landed. I could see it stand up from the other side of town, towering over everything else in the area. It started moving, at first seeming to check out its surroundings, then slowly lowering the tentacled heads down and running them over the ground. I saw it pick up a car and hold it over the orb. As it held it close, the car began melting. After it was softened, it lowered it into the maw of teeth. It looked up at the tear, widening as more of its kind started clamoring at it. And that's when it let out a sound that will haunt me until the day that I die. It was like an explosion mixed with the screams of 1,000 dying people, and as it roared, the clamoring of the tear began more frenzied. It finished and started walking towards me. The creature was moving straight for me, every step bringing it at least 100 feet closer. The red orb that was one of its heads glowed brighter as it came closer as well. It looked like it could sense me. I jumped in my car and called Ronald. "You guys need to handle this, now!" I screamed at my phone. "This thing is after me, and there's more like it coming down every second!"
Shit, he said. I have a team en route to you right now. Just stay where you are.
"I'm getting the fuck out of here, unless your team can be here within 2 minutes. This creature is huge and it knows where I am. It's going to be on top of me within 5 minutes. I already saw what it could do to a car, and I am not fond of that happening to me."
Fucking hell. Okay. Do you have all the lists of safe houses with you?
He asked. "Yeah, I'm going to the closest one. It's only about 15 minutes away. Hopefully my car can outrun that thing."
Good. We'll be in touch.
I have to move. Quick. That thing is still stomping towards me. I could see light poles and cars crush under its feet in the distance. The orb continued to get brighter above me. More continued to fall from the tear in the sky, and it began to rain at this point. Wind howling. It still didn't faze the creature at all. Everyone else seemed to just think that it was some freak storm tearing everything down. I got in the car and squealed out of my driveway. The safe house was a few miles outside of town, in an abandoned convenience store off the highway. I just had to get there and push the code in the back door to make it a mile underground into a bunker. I got to the edge of town. A little over a mile to go when those things that fell right from the sky fell in front of me. I didn't see it coming until it was too late, but its front left foot landed right on the hood of my car. I got jolted forward and hit my head on the steering wheel. I was dazed, everything blurred, and I felt warm blood dripping from my forehead into my eyes. This is bad. This is really fucking bad. I vaguely saw one of the tentacles wrapped around what was left of my car and pick it up with me still in it. Had to act fast. I reached down and unclipped my seatbelt and at the same time shoved the car door open. I rolled out as the car got turned over and lifted into the air. God damn it, I have got to go. I rolled over and got to my feet. Everything hurt, unsurprisingly. I could feel my heart beating in my throat. I started trying to run, but god damn it, it hurt. I probably had a couple broken ribs, maybe a concussion. I'm amazed I was even still able to walk at all. The creature let out a roar as it brought my car up to the orb. I assumed that it's an eye. The car started to melt as the howl and rage got louder. I looked up as I ran and saw more falling from the sky, even faster than before. They were coming down by the dozens now. My phone rang in my pocket. I was still trying to run from the monster, and right now it was right above me. Even if I survive this, I'm not sure that the world will. I dug my phone out as I continued running. Little busy right now. Tell me you have some good news.
Where are you? Our other cognizants have reports of these things falling near them as well.
Ronald said. I could hear the fear in his voice. This might be where it all ends.
Where are you right now?
I'm on the side of 17. One of these bastards dropped right in front of my car and wrecked it. I'm probably a mile out from the bunker.
Good. I have 2 agents a mile from you. Find a safe place to hide until they can get there, and they can take you
the rest of the way. I don't think you fucking understand me right now, old man. This thing is on the goddamn road. I don't think they'll get through.
They will. Just hide until then.
He hung up at that. Shit. I don't even know how I'm supposed to hide. If they're a mile up the road, then hopefully that means 3 minutes, max. Now isn't the time for them to be careful drivers anyway. My best bet right now is to just run and dodge until they get here. The orb swiveled around and I swear it looked right at me. The head with the mouth moved up towards me, extending its neck as it came down towards me, almost bending completely backwards to reach where I was underneath it. While it was doing that, one of the tentacle heads reached around from the side, like it was trying to close me in. Fuck, this is bad. This is really bad. I closed my eyes and I hoped for time to just stop right there, for the terror to disappear and this damn thing to vanish. I had a flash of the dimension that it came from. The landscape was completely leveled. Where buildings once stood, there were now just ruins. These things overran the land, devouring everything that they could find. Their movements seemed to be determined by some sort of hive mind, all going towards the exact same goal. They were hungry, and we were their next buffet. I snapped out of it and faced down the maw in front of me. I couldn't run to the right because of the tentacles. The highway barrier was on my left. There was nowhere to go but behind me, and I didn't know how fast those teeth would move. I had to do something. I closed my eyes, gritting myself for what was about to happen, and when I opened them again, I almost gasped. The creature was gone, disappeared into thin air. In front of me stood one of the agents who picked me up the day that I saw the big guy, and he was holding a device that looked like some sort of projector. "Get in," he said, nodding back towards the car. I didn't question it, but I ran over and got into the back seat. "So, that's how you guys get rid of aberrations?" I asked. Yes and no. Just one of these can work for a smaller scale aberration. I still have no clue how we're gonna fix the tear, though. Our number one priority is getting you to safety and treating your wounds." We drove the rest of the way to the convenience store, and I watched as more of them fell from that tear as we drove. There had to be hundreds by now. Who knew how widespread this destruction could be? They parked outside and rushed me in. We took the elevator past the door and it went a mile down to the bunker in almost 10 seconds. I swear I almost hit the ceiling as it went down. We stepped out into the brightly lit room. All white walls with a couch and a small kitchen on the side, and a bed on the other. Against the far wall was a ham radio and a small television. "Alright, here. You're obviously pretty banged up. Take this for the pain and lay down. We'll keep you updated on how things go. One of us will be on duty constantly to monitor the situation," he said as he handed me a couple of pills. "How are you guys gonna know what the fuck is going on if I'm not up there?" "Ronald is coming up with a contingency plan, and we have other cognizants keeping an eye on things. Just rest for now, and we'll take care of all that big stuff. Priority for you is resting. Won't matter what you can see if you're fucking dead." I didn't like it, but I didn't have many alternatives. I took the pills and I swallowed them, and then laid down carefully on the bed. Now that the adrenaline was wearing off, I felt every injury. Definitely broken ribs, possibly a dislocated shoulder. There was a nice gash across my left leg, too. The stuff that they gave me was better than anything a doctor could prescribe, though, and I drifted off in no time. When I awoke, the other agent was sitting at the desk talking over the radio. "What's going on?" I asked, sitting up way too quickly and feeling the sting in my chest. "Whoa, easy there," he said, looking over at me. "We have it all under control. Some of the guys in the tech department figured out how to close the tear. Now we're just rounding up the ones that fell. You're going to stay down here for a few days while you recover." "How the hell?" I said. There's no way. This looked like the fucking apocalypse, and somehow we managed to completely avoid it. "Look, I can't promise it's a permanent solution, so we're keeping an eye on everything. We have your camera array set up down here so you can monitor and report as needed." I still couldn't believe it. There's no way that this could have been done so quickly. And that's when the ground started to shake. "What in the fuck is that?" the agent shouted, looking towards the door. The ham radio crackled.
Be alert. One of the strays is still after the cognizant. They're fixed above your bunker.
Jesus, the goddamn things are still trying to hunt us down, even though they've been closed off from the rest. The ground shook again, and I heard a loud crash from behind the steel door that leads to the elevator. Fuck. That's bad, the agent said. He pulled up a camera on the TV. The satellite feed zoomed down on our location, showing a blaze beginning where the convenience store used to be. Now there was just rubble. I knew he couldn't see it, but I could. One of the aberrations was above us, thrashing around at the store. It had found where the elevator shaft was and was battering it, trying to dig deeper. The noise we heard was the elevator car dropping the mile downwards. So, now it's a day later, and I'm writing this all out. Some agents finally showed up, flashed one of those projector things at it to get it to go away. I saw one of them get picked up by it first, though. I picked it up with the tentacle and brought it around to the orb. I can still see that man's face as he looked up to the sky, clearly in the camera. I think he saw eternity. He was put in the maw of a moment later. A geyser of blood ended up pouring out. That's when the aberration vanished, leaving only the rain of blood and rubble as a reminder that it had even been there. We were waiting for a rescue now, but it's an iffy situation. Being a mile under the earth makes it bad, but the elevator crash made the structure unsound. They have to move carefully. One wrong move could bring this whole place crashing down. So, this might be where it ends. I'll keep looking for aberrations until I either die or get the fuck out of here. All you should know that there are things coming into this world that don't belong here. We narrowly avoided the apocalypse yesterday. There's no guarantee we'll be this lucky next time.